The Future of the Colored Race by Frederick Douglass, 1886. It is quite impossible at this early date to say with any decided emphasis what the future of the colored people will be. Speculations of that kind, thus far, have only reflected the mental bias and education of the many who have essayed to solve the problem. We all know what the Negro has been as a slave. In this relation, we have his experience of 250 years before us, and can easily know the character and qualities he has developed and exhibited during this long and severe ordeal. In his new relation to his environments, we see him only in the twilight of 20 years of semi-freedom, for he has scarcely been free long enough to outgrow the marks of the lash on his back and the fetters on his limbs. He stands before us today, physically, a maimed and mutilated man. His mother was lashed to agony before the birth of her babe, and the bitter anguish of the mother is seen in the countenance of her offspring. Slavery has twisted his limbs, shattered his feet, deformed his body, and distorted his features. He remains black, but no longer comely, sleeping on the dirt floor of the slave cabin in infancy, cold on one side and warm on the other, a forced circulation of blood on the one side, and chilled and retarded circulation on the other. It has come to pass that he has not the vertical bearing of a perfect man. His lack of symmetry, caused by no fault of his own, creates a resistance to his progress which cannot well be overestimated, and should be taken into account when measuring his speed in the new race of life upon which he has now entered. As I have often said before, we should not measure the Negro from the heights from which the white race has attained, but from the depths from which he has come. You will not find Burke, Grattan, Curran, and O'Connell among the oppressed and famished poor of the famine-stricken districts of Ireland. Such men come of comfortable antecedents and sound parents. Laying aside all prejudice in favor of or against race, looking at the Negro as politically and socially related to the American people generally, and measuring the forces arrayed against him, I do not see how he can survive and flourish in this country as a distinct and separate race, nor do I see how he can be removed from the country, either by annihilation or expatriation. Sometimes I have feared that, in some wild paroxysm of rage, the white race, forgetful of the claims of humanity and the precepts of the Christian religion, will proceed to slaughter the Negro in wholesale, as some of that race have attempted to slaughter Chinamen, and as it has been done in detail in some districts of the southern states. The grounds of this fear, however, have in some measure decreased, since the Negro has largely disappeared from the arena of Southern politics, and has betaken himself to industrial pursuits and the acquisition of wealth and education, though even here, if over-prosperous, he is likely to excite a dangerous antagonism, for the white people do not easily tolerate the presence among them of a race more prosperous than themselves. The Negro, as a poor, ignorant creature, does not contradict the race pride of the white race. He is more source of amusement to that race than an object of resentment. Malignant resistance is augmented as he approaches the plain occupied by the white race, and yet I think that resistance will gradually yield to the pressure of wealth, education, and high character. My strongest conviction as to the future of the Negro, therefore, is that he will not be expatriated nor annihilated, nor will he forever remain a separate and distinct race from the people around him, but that he will be absorbed, assimilated, and will only appear finally, as the Phoenicians now appear on the shores of the Shannon, in the features of a blended race. I cannot give at length my reasons for this conclusion, and perhaps the reader may think that the wish is farther to the thought, and may, in his wrath, denounce my conclusion as utterly impossible. To such I would say, tarry a little and look at the facts. 200 years ago, there were two distinct and separate streams of human life running through this country. They stood at opposite extremes of ethnological classification, all black on the one side, all white on the other. Now, between these two extremes, an intermediate race has arisen, which is neither white nor black, neither Caucasian nor Ethiopian, and this intermediate race is constantly increasing. I know it is said that marital alliance between these races is unnatural, abhorrent, and impossible, but exclamations of this kind only shake the air. They prove nothing against a stubborn fact like that which confronts us daily, and which is open to the observation of all. If this blending of the two races were impossible, we should not have at least 1/4 of our colored population composed of persons of mixed blood, ranging all the way from a dark brown color to the point where there is no visible admixture. Besides, it is obvious to common sense that there is no need of the passage of laws, or the adoption of other devices, to prevent what is in itself impossible. Of course, this result will not be reached by any hurried or forced processes. It will not arise out of any theory of the wisdom of such blending of the two races. If it comes at all, it will come without shock or noise, or violence of any kind, and only in the fullness of time, and it will be so adjusted to surrounding conditions as hardly to be observed. I would not be understood as advocating intermarriage between the two races. I am not a propagandist, but a prophet. I do not say that what I say should come to pass, but what I think is likely to come to pass, and what is inevitable. While I would not be understood as advocating the desirability of such a result, I would not be understood as deprecating it. Races and varieties of the human family appear and disappear, but humanity remains and will remain forever. The American people will one day be truer to this idea than now, and will say, with Scotia's inspired son, "A man's a man for all that." When that day shall come, they will not pervert and sin against the verity of language as they now do by calling a man of mixed blood a Negro. They will tell the truth. It is only prejudice against the Negro which calls everyone, however nearly connected with the white race, and however remotely connected with the Negro race, a Negro. The motive is not a desire to elevate the Negro, but to humiliate and degrade those of mixed blood. Not a desire to bring the Negro up, but to cast the mulatto and the quadroon down by forcing him below an arbitrary and hated color line. Men of mixed blood in this country apply the name Negro to themselves, not because it is a correct ethnological description, but to seem especially devoted to the black side of their parentage. Hence, in some cases, they are more noisily opposed to the conclusion to which I have come than either the white or the honestly black race. The opposition to amalgamation, of which we hear so much on the part of colored people, is for the most part the merest affectation, and will never form an impassable barrier to the union of the two varieties.